You've told Chinese officials that the U.S. will continue to press China over its human rights record in Xinjiang and elsewhere, for that matter. What does that mean practically? What could the United States further do to reprimand China?
Well, I think there are a few things. First of all, it is really important to speak up, to speak out, and to do so with other countries who share our abhorrence at what's happening to Uyghurs in Xinjiang, or for that matter, what's happening to democracy in Hong Kong. But in terms of practical measures, I think there are a number of things that can be done. For example, countries should not be supplying any products or technology that can be used for the repression of people in China, for example, the Uyghurs. Similarly, countries should look at making sure they're not importing products that are made with forced labor. Those are very practical things that countries can do and focus on to make sure that not only is our voice loud, but our actions are too.
I'm sure you know that our parliament this week voted to condemn what was happening, yes, but also to suggest that it is indeed a genocide. However, Cabinet and the Prime Minister abstained from that decision, saying they needed more information. Have you given the Canadian government information to support confirmation that it is in fact a genocide we are seeing there?
Well, I think each country, each government needs to make its own assessment, its own determination, following its laws and practices. We've made clear what we believe, and we look to other countries to make their own determinations.
So you believe it is a genocide? Is that accurate?
Yes, I've said so, and I've made that clear on behalf of the United States. President Biden, more importantly,
yes,
has said so as well.
And what would be the benefit of a multilateral declaration by countries led by the United States and Canada too of declaring it a genocide? What would be the impact of that, Secretary?
Look, I think as a general matter, we are much more effective when in dealing with some of the challenges that China poses when we are doing it together. When countries, democracies are working together, speaking together, acting together. It's a lot harder for China to ignore our collective voice and our collective weight than it is for China to ignore each of us individually. So I think there's power in numbers, and ultimately the world coming together when it sees basic principles and basic standards violated is important in and of itself.
Are you confident that because the Biden administration and yourself are now bringing this position on China to the world, that the two Canadians will be released sooner rather than later?
Look, I certainly very, very much hope so. And again, the initiative that Canada took to have countries speak as one and join as one against the arbitrary detention by states of their citizens is a significant and important initiative, because what we have to do, obviously we have to focus on bringing the two Michaels home, but more broadly, we have to work together to establish a basic norm in international conduct that this is simply unacceptable. That takes time, it takes effort, it takes sustained effort. You know, if you go back, it's a very different thing, but it's the same basic principle. After World War I, there was an abhorrence at the use of chemical weapons.
Yes. And
countries worked together over decades to establish a norm against their use. And it took hold. And obviously we've seen violations of that norm, but there's an international understanding on that. We need an international understanding on the prohibition against arbitrary detentions of country citizens for political purposes.
Your president has said that America is back. It's a refrain that our prime minister used when he first won as well. I wonder, how difficult is it to rebuild America's position of leadership at multilateral organizations and around the world? How difficult is it, do you think, going to be?
You know, I've been, because I can't yet travel, I've been burning up the phone lines since I've been in office. And as I've said, I'm glad we're on the family telephone plan here, otherwise our budget would be gone. But I'm finding almost across the board a thirst and a thanks for American engagement. Because here's the reality I think we're all facing, including the United States. Not a single one of the really big problems that we have to deal with on behalf of our people, things that are going to affect them or are affecting them in their daily lives, whether it's changing climate, whether it's this pandemic, whether it's potentially the spread of a really dangerous weapon. Not a single one can we deal with effectively with any one nation acting alone. even the United States. There is a premium on cooperation, and the United States has an important role to play in trying to bring countries together, to mobilize them in collective action to deal with the challenges that our citizens are facing every single day. I think partners around the world recognize that, just as we recognize the absolute importance to the United States of having them engaged and having them in the game. So I'm finding tremendous openness, and more than openness, even just a tremendous desire for this American re-engagement. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to have differences, we're not going to have difficulties, but there is I think, a sense in country after country that there is more of a premium than there's ever been on countries working together to face these challenges that are literally making a difference in the lives of our fellow Americans, fellow Canadians every single day.
Secretary, thank you so much for making the time for Canada. I appreciate it, sir.
Thanks. Good to be with you.